So what we're going to do now is start adding some shading and a bit of lighting to our icons just to give it some more depth and make it stand out. So what we're going to do is just grab all these icons here and we're going to make a copy holding Shift and Option. I'm just going to drag this down just like that. And what I'm going to do is make a few new layers. So I've got 2 new layers here already made up. One says stroke, one says shading. And what we're going to do is we're going to put these strokes on the top layer and then we're going to add our shading on this layer here so it doesn't conflict. So as I showed you before, we don't want the colors to go over our stroke. We want our stroke to be on the top and just, have the effects on the actual color. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select these 4 icons and I'm going to press Control C, Control F. It's going to make a copy and paste it on top. As you can see there, it's just made a copy like that. And what I'm going to do to this is go to my left panel here and click this button here, or you can press / and it's going to get rid of the fill. So now if I drag this out, you can see it's only the stroke. So what I'm going to do is go to my layers panel on the right here. You'll see there's this little button next to this circle here, and it's like a little square with a color. We're going to drag this color, which means all this is selected, everything in the layer that is selected that we picked, and we're going to drag it up, click and drag to the stroke layer. So now you can see if I move this, it's just our strokes on this layer. So we can turn that on and off. So we're going to leave that there. And I'm going to lock that stroke layer. And then I'm going to go to my color layer again where we have our fill. And I'm going to turn off the stroke on this side. So you can see you can press the button or / and I've gotten rid of the stroke here. Now we just got all the fills and that is under the stroke. So we have our stroke on top and our color layer with the fills, and now we're going to add our shading on this middle layer here. So you want to make sure that the stroke's on top and the shading is in the middle so we don't conflict. So now what we're going to do is going to go on our shading layer, click that, and what I'm going to do is start adding some shading. So I'm going to press P for the pen tool. It's also located on the left here as well as we were using before, and I'm going to click and start just adding some shapes. And make sure your guides are on. And then what I want to do is go to my transparency panel. You can go to Window, Transparency to open that. And you can see here I have this shape here. And I'm just going to press I for the eyedropper and just select this color here. And I'm going to go to Multiply. You can even do this dark color here and do Multiply for that. So I'll just leave that on Multiply, and you can see it's added a bit of a shadow. And what I'd like to do is hold Option and Shift or Alt and Shift, drag this across. And I'm going to go to my Transform panel on the left here, click the menu, and you can see you can flip horizontal, flip vertical. We're going to flip horizontal. And what it's done, it's actually flipped that shape. So now we have the exact same shape on this left side as on the right side. So we've added a bit of shading there. And I'm going to do the same up here. So you can see we're just gonna click and connect the shape, and then once again we're gonna go to Multiply. Make sure we select this color and Multiply. I'm gonna copy it and go back to Transform and flip horizontal, and then we're gonna drag it into place and make sure it snaps into place. So you can see we've already added a bit of shading and it's already taken effect and being really cool. So that's awesome. And we'll go ahead and add some shading on the next one, but we'll add a bit of lighting as well. So we're going to do the same thing, but instead of doing Multiply, we're actually going to add use Screen or Color Dodge. It works really well as well. So I'm just going to click again using the stroke as a guide. And then I'm going to just drag this. And the reason why I see how the strokes are on top, you can actually draw behind it and it's not going to affect it, which is awesome. So you see color dodge or screen. Color dodge is pretty cool. But you can see that it's mixing with this one here, so I'm going to have to drag that down a bit. And then copy it again. So I have that. So we've added a bit of lighting there. We're not going to add lighting down here because this is the inside of the tent. So this is the outside and this is the inside. So there's not going to be really much lighting unless you have like a lamp or candle or something in there, but that's cool. So you can see it's added a bit of depth. It's pretty cool. And then same thing for the lantern. We'll go through, you know, just using the eyedropper tool. Make sure you're on the right layer. And we'll go multiply. And you can see just copying, pasting the squares, and then I'm just holding Alt and dragging the box out from the side, and it's going to keep it constrained. And then at the top here, we'll add some. So this is how I usually do my icons, especially if I'm doing icons that have, you know, heavy strokes. Sometimes it will just be like fills and stuff. So it all depends on the style of icon you're really doing. I'm just going to get these two and then minus this out with a shape builder tool, just so it's not interfering there. And I might even color this. Actually, I'll make it red. Add a bit of color there. And then even might add a bit of. So we're imagining the light's coming straight down. So it's coming down this way. And then we'll add, so usually there's like a reflection, and we'll add some, so, you know, so you can be pretty messy on the behind part. Doesn't have to be too clean, because you won't see it anyway. And you can add point to the pen tool. Just go with that. Press in for the marquee tool, and I'm just dragging a box there. And then eyedropper by pressing I, and then just doing that. Sweet, so I've got some lighting, got a bit of shading here. It's looking good. So you can see it looks flat here, and you can see the difference. It actually makes a bit of difference. So we're going to add it here behind the pillow. So you got to imagine, like, be realistic with your icons. Like, is there things behind or in front? Is there like areas where there would be more light? So you can see here, obviously this bag wouldn't have much light because it's behind, it's under. And we're going to focus on this bit here. I'm going to make it look like there's like seams in the bag by adding these shadows. So just by quickly like adding shapes, you can get a lot out of it. And there's so many different styles of icons, you know, like so many different colors and styles. That's you always want to research before you actually create the icons to see, you know, what your client wants or what the brief is if you're doing a specific project for someone. And then once again, we'll add some shading here. So we'll click. I'm just holding shift there to get straight lines. And then once again, I'm just going to go over here and copy this color here. And if it's too much, you can actually drop the opacity. If you're on the transparency panel, you've got an opacity bar here. You can actually go in there and drop that percentage if you feel like it's too much. If you want a more subtle feel to it. And then Control D, and that will copy it. Create a duplicate. So you want to make sure it's consistent. Make sure it's the same size and stuff like that. Sweet, looks good. We'll add a bit of shading up here too. Awesome, awesome. That's really great. So now we're onto our backpack now. You can see how it sticks out here. A quick trick is you can hold shift with the direct selection tool and click on the points. And you'll see this little round corner. If you're in CC, you'll get this little point. And you can drag it in. It's going to round that off like that. So you can see how we both ran it off those two sides, which is pretty neat. And then I'm just going to get this multiply color here. I'm going to go through under the stroke and create these shadows, and then I can just copy it across. So to get all this extra detail, you don't have to, stress. If you just put a bit of extra time into it, you can create some cool stuff. Yeah, that looks looking alright. And then I'm going to add a bit of shading. I can copy this, go back to transform, flip vertical like we did before. Then once again, do color dodge there. We can even add some light on this. And make sure you eye drop the yellow. It's not going to look right. Screen looks nice there. Copy that across. Make sure we'll put it on color dodge. That looks a bit white, but that's fine. We might actually get rid of this shading because this is like the buckle. Let's get rid of that buckle. And we'll add this shadow here because that's behind. Make sure we copy this light green. Multiply. Alright, beautiful. You can even add a bit of shading here. And just round these bottom corners off like we did before. To add a bit of shading under that buckle or the zipper. Awesome. So yeah, now you can see we've added a bit of depth. You can see the difference from flat and then some shading there. So it just adds that little bit of fire, that little bit of flavor to it, and it looks awesome. Just by using multiply, transparency, multiply, and color dodge, and just by using the colors that we use there, that were already there, and just applying these simple techniques, you can create some nice icons. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to show you how to recolor them, because sometimes you want your colors or your icons to show in a different visual manner. So it's good to create a different color. So what we're going to do, I'm going to make a new layer, just call it red, and I think I'll have some, we're going to use this color palette here that I made beforehand. I'm going to select these icons again, but make sure the layers are unlocked. Make sure you select all of it. Select it all, hold Alt and Shift and drag this down. So we've made a copy there now. And now what we're going to do is we're going to select all these, go to color guide and click this little color wheel on the bottom on the right here. We want to click that. And you can see we've got this box that pops up. So you can see now the colors have gone off funky. You want to make sure you tick recolor art on the bottom left here. And now we're going to use this color group on the right here. So you can see we use this original color group, but we're going to use this red and brown one. And what you can actually do is, you see you've got these 4 rows. So what it does is substitutes the color that we previously used with the new color that we just selected on this color group. And we can press this button on the left, on the right, And if you keep clicking it, it'll do different variations and switch them around, which is so cool. You can get some cool effects and different like styles and colors. Or you can just drag the colors where you want. You can see I'm just dragging this color. I want this brown to be on the stroke like that, but I want it to be a bit darker, so you can actually go down here and edit that color and make it darker, as you can see there. It might not show up properly, so you'll have to click recolor and recolor again and it will work. So that looks pretty nice, and you know, you can play around with this if you want it to look red. Like that. That looks pretty sweet. So what we can do now is press OK. And then we don't want to save these new changes to the color, so we're just going to press no. But now you can see it's actually changed the colors, and we have a new icon set, or a new set of different styles. And you know, you can call this red icons or fire icons, or you know, summer set or whatever you want. So you can really get some cool looks and different variations when you just play around with that color tool. And all it is just going to color guide and playing with the color wheel, and you can get some nice looking icons.